Hey, I'm Mark from Maverick American Spearfishing here in Reef Runner Dive and Spearfishing in Wrightsville Beach. This is part 3 of our complete blue water spearfishing guide, and today we're going to look at tips, breakaway tips and slip tips. We have a bunch of different tips that we use on blue water spear guns, and the most classic, straightforward tip that everybody knows is your single barb fixed tip. You can see the single barb fixed tip because it's a single barb fixed to the shaft with one rivet, and this is not the ideal spear tip for blue water hunting. So for blue water hunting, larger game fish, we want to use one of these breakaway tips, and I'll show you in a classic sense how they work. So when the spear goes through the fish, it deploys like this. Imagine my hands are your fish here. And as it's going through, the tip is now engaged on the other side of the body of the fish. And as it pulls, this line connected to the gun now locks into the slide ring. And this prevents a few important things from happening. It prevents the fish from getting off because it's now trapped with a string in the middle. But it also prevents your spear shaft from getting bent. So as the fish is swimming away, it creates a nice straight line between your bungee, your shooting line, your spear shaft, and the tip as it pulls away through the water. And that's what you want, is a nice straight line to avoid drag and to avoid, number one, tear-offs. Because the most important thing about blue water hunting is it should be the most sustainable type of spear fishing and ethical that we can do. So with these breakaway tips, you really maximize the chances of landing your fish. There are a multitude of manufacturers that make slip tips and breakaway tips, starting with this highly, coveted Alexander blue water tip that's all hand machined, to our production of scale tips from Rife International, Rife Spear Guns with their Ice Pick series, the large ice pick, and then the mini ice picks here. And these are very functional, very good tips. And to our high-end tips, these are probably some of the better known tips on the market, known as Maury or Steve Alexander breakaway tips. So let's look at these and what makes these so special. This tip is a standard Steve Alexander tip, and it's rigged and set up for Spectra. You can see here how the Spectra is attached to the tip. You can see it's back braided, and you can see it's attached toward its terminal length to the slide ring. And this slide ring is what goes through your spear shaft and is then blocked from coming off the front of the spear by the adapter. So that being said, always check. A really good tip is going to be really easy to break off from the tip itself. What you're trying to make sure of is that no matter how hard your tip impacts the target, fish, or what have you, it's never going to get jammed. The really good tips, and if you're buying tips that cost less than $100, you just really look out for these components. Your better tips are going to cost over $100 because this is an important relationship here between these two, and the machine work has got to be really, really tight and really accurate for this not to have any wobble and any play. This is a really great tip because it's tri-cut, so instead of a pencil tip, the tip has 3 faces. It's extremely sharp, so it's good for crashing through scales. It'll tear the scales open. And also, you can see the way the adapter mates to this tip. It's just a perfect toggle. And this, again, is an original Steve Alexander design. It's been perfected over the years by Maverick American Spearfishing to make sure that even side pressure on the tip will cause this to break off every single time, meaning that there's no wobble as it goes through its flight trajectory. And aside from there not being any wobble, it's extremely accurate and straight. But as soon as it impacts the fish, it deploys very easily. And that's what makes a great tip.